I love a good story. Whether it's a TV show, movie, book, video game, or anime, I have an unquenchable thirst to be immersed in a grand tale. And over my years of reading, watching, and writing stories, I have found the creation of a story to be similar to a living being. The plot is the skin of a story that holds everything together. Underneath that, the setting acts as the muscles that drive the story along its destined path. The theme is the brain generating provoking thoughts and presenting them to the audience. And if plot is the skin, setting is the muscles, and theme is the brain, then deep and well-written characters are the lifeblood of a story that will determine if it's a vibrant life or a hollow shell. Let's take a look at two different stories that I feel best represent this idea. First, consider the Star Wars prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. The plot of the story is how did Darth Vader, one of the most iconic villains in storytelling, become the Dark Lord? That's a fantastic idea for a plot, and the sci-fi setting of Star Wars allows for any number of ways to drive the story with several different themes that were presented throughout the movies, or at least tried to be presented. Unfortunately, even characters with the most screen time, like Obi-Wan, Padme, and Anakin, were poorly written characters. Who was Obi-Wan other than a Jedi Knight and Anakin's teacher? Who was Anakin other than a slave boy turned whiny punk who hated sand? Who was Padme other than...
I'm a senator.
A senator? Who was Yoda other than a Jedi Master? Who was Palpatine other than the bad guy? Who was Jar Jar Binks other than fucking Jar Jar Binks? The problem with the Star Wars prequels was that it had a great plot in a world full of potentially interesting themes that could have been explored. But in my opinion, the poorly written characters destroyed what could have been an epic tale. Now consider a different story, AMC's The Walking Dead. No pun intended, but the plot is one that has been done to death. Surviving the zombie apocalypse. The setting? The world in the zombie apocalypse. The themes are incredibly deep and thought-provoking, but they can't be shared through zombies alone. And that's where the story shines. Its characters. Each of them are unique and interesting, with different backstories, beliefs, and motivations. And as the story went along, the characters changed and grew, and sometimes even deteriorated into something worse. And through them, many fascinating themes were presented, like gaining strength, corruption even in the middle of an apocalypse, or how to deal with loss. The most beautiful person in the world could have the healthiest muscles and a mind to rival Socrates. But without blood pumping through them, nothing can operate, and the person is nothing more than a husk. The same applies to storytelling. Without well-written characters to carry the plot, live in the world, and present thoughts, an amazing story cannot come to life. And in this series, I will be exploring some of my favorite characters of all time, and how they made their stories some of the best I've ever enjoyed. Welcome to the Bloodworks.